Hello everyone, this is Justin and I just wanted to share with you some new developments for our Rover application. This is specifically highlighting a set of features that we've built for common street tree inventory. So as everyone's aware, that when you add a tree in Rover, we can derive the addressing information and associate it with a tree. That's one of the strengths of Rover. But some feedback we got from our users was that they want to be able to interact with the trees at a parcel level a little bit more conveniently. And so we've developed this concept which we're calling the Related Features panel. So what I'll go ahead and do is I'm going to identify a parcel and bring up the edit form for that parcel. So you can see the normal attributes that are tied to this, so 147 No Tuck Street. And I want to draw your attention to this new button up here, which is the Related Features panel. And if I click that, what that'll do for us is it will expand and show all the trees that have been associated with that particular parcel. And so right now I have 3 trees associated with this parcel. Let's close the form again and just kind of highlight that. We have 1, 2, 3 trees. So I'll go back into the parcel and we'll expand down these trees and we can see that the 3 related trees to the parcel. I can also jump directly to one of these trees if I want. So I can jump to the maple tree, for example, and you can see how the tree starts blinking on the map, representing which one I'm actually identified. I can also click on the second tree as well as the third tree. If I want to navigate to the trees using the map, I have that option as well. What I can do is I can click on one of these green points and it'll automatically jump me to that particular feature on my map, on my Related Features panel. So it's a different way to be able to navigate and quickly move to particular trees. You have the option to edit these trees directly in this panel. So maybe I want to bump this one up 2 inches. I can then go to the next tree and make an adjustment to its diameter. As you can see in the panel, there's these little asterisks. They just represent that these records have been changed and they haven't been saved yet. So I'm able to actually begin editing and making changes to each one of these trees in the panel. I don't have to save every tree as I'm going. I can do them all in one bulk save at the end. Down here at the bottom, we have our Save All button, which I can go ahead and click. It's going to prompt me that I'm going to save 2 features, and I'll go ahead and acknowledge it. So another option that we can do here is I can jump back to the parcel if I wanted to, and let's say that the addressing for this parcel was actually inaccurate, and this is really 143. So I'll go ahead and just move down my address to 143, and I'll hit the Save button. And what you'll see is that the trees have all updated their addressing information. So changing the parcel has cascaded those changes to the trees that were also assigned to that parcel. (143, 143). Now the last thing I want to touch on with the Related Features panel is just the observation that we can actually utilize this to add information to the system as well. So if I have my 3 trees, perhaps I want to add a 5th site to the system. So I can use this little plus button next to tree in order to bring up the add form. It hides the form and tells me down here to place or draw my feature on the map, and I'll just go ahead and place that tree over here. And it automatically loads the the parcel information just like it's always done. I will go ahead and use the load last to add this in pretty quickly. You can see that the site number automatically was assigned as a 4. So it is smart enough to identify when you are adding an address to the property, calculate what the next site number should be if we're using a project that has site numbers. I'll go ahead and do a load last on the tree data as well, and then I need to fill out my track assessment for this tree. The tree is shown here in the panel. It's the information is being reflected in real time as I'm adding the tree. We can go ahead and make some adjustments to the diameter if I wanted to. Maybe this is a 14-inch. And then I'll go ahead and save it. After that's been saved, I have the option now to continue adding more trees. And I didn't need to save it if I didn't want to. I could have just, again, taken advantage of that bulk save feature and just continue to add trees. Let's say that I wanted to add a tree in the middle of these sites here. So I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let me go ahead and turn on my labeling. I've already set it up so that site numbers are labeled. And let's say that this is an inventory that is relying on site numbers, and I'm going to go ahead and insert a site here. Now, the site's brought up, and if I go ahead and I'll utilize my load last, now you'll see that it calculated it as site number 5. It's because it's not quite smart enough to know how to place it spatially based on the relationship of other sites. That would be a great puzzle to solve, but it's one that we weren't able to take care of this at this time. But what I do want to point out is if I correct the site number and change it down to 3 as I know it should be, and then I'll go ahead and finish filling out the details for this record. When I save this record, it actually went ahead and resequenced the old 3 into a 4 and the old 4 into a 5. So while it's not quite exact enough to determine the site number spatially, it is able to, assuming that the user is entering the correct site number, it's able to go ahead and reconcile duplicate and inconsistent sites. I do have the option to jump to a different address if I wanted to. So what we'll do here is let's go ahead and identify this particular tree. And notice that the form has loaded and the panel has also loaded, so I can see the parcel there, and I have also the tree. And I'll go ahead and add a quick record to this address. So this is at 153 Nonotuck Street. And we'll go ahead and utilize the load last. And we'll go to the tree data and load that one as well. And I'll finish out this track assessment. And we go back to the location data. You can see that this is going into site number 2. I also have that information reaffirmed for me here. And we'll go ahead and save and close this time. That'll add the record to the data set, and it'll also close the entry form. So users with Rover 3.1 may have noticed that additional button. That's the reason why. We wanted the ability for the user to still be able to work with those related features if they had that panel expanded, and be able to hit the save button but keep the form open. So we had to add the save and close option for a more traditional unit-based project where we're just gathering points and we're not taking advantage of the related features panel. Last thing I just want to touch on is going back to this other property. And again, I'm going to go ahead and edit that record, and it's going to load the feature panel for me for those sites. And just for the sake of example, I'm going to go ahead and add one more tree, put it right here at the very end of the property. And we'll use our load last. And you'll see that it kicked up at site number 6. So this site numbering mechanism that's auto-incrementing, it's not based on the last site that you have added. It's actually figuring out relative to each property. And so it is able to kind of pick up where you left off. And it's set up so that there's certain fields that triggers its reset. So if I were to make this on the 2 side, for example, you can see that the site number reverted back to 1. All right, so this is, we're pretty excited about this. We think it's going to really help a lot of the street tree inventory data collection process, especially in regards to being able to work with a particular parcel, see all the records that are attached to that parcel, and be able to use the panel here to navigate to those records directly rather than relying on other methods that we've had in past versions. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions or feedback, please let me know. Everyone, please take care.